Rob's Arcade, Rob's Arcade, where the games get played and the games get saved so they can be played on another day. Rob's Arcade.
Oh, wow, that's pretty hot, guys. What's going on? Welcome back to Rob's Arcade. I'm your host, of course, Rob French, and hanging out with me today is my good buddy, R4. Now it's time once again for the midweek breakdown. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the midweek breakdown, if this is your first time here, the first thing you're going to do is hit that little subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming videos. But the midweek breakdown, I just like to hang out with you guys a couple times a week on Mondays and Wednesdays especially, kind of catch up on Monday with you guys, see how your weekend was, and then kind of touch base with you guys again on Wednesday, primarily because it's my favorite day of the week, new comic book day, that's right. And just kind of show you what I pick up from my local comic shop, talk about comics, and just kind of hang out with you guys. It's Wednesday, so not only is it a new episode of the midweek breakdown, but it's also a new episode of Disney Plus's Hawkeye series, which is really, really good. Really enjoying that a lot. I understand it had kind of like a slower takeoff than some of their other shows that they put out, like Loki and what have you. But I've really been enjoying it, like the action. And spoiler alert, we're kind of finally seeing some of the connections between Hawkeye's show and some of the latest Marvel movies as well. So yeah, I enjoyed watching that today. There is a new trailer out for the Spider-Verse sequel, Into the Spider-Verse, which at first I think they called it like a teaser. Yeah, it was like a teaser trailer, and then they just kind of like reworded it on IMDb, where now I think it's like the first look or something, which I think is more appropriate because I was kind of excited for a new trailer. Yeah, kind of like a cool look, and you don't really get a whole lot out of it. In fact, I did a reaction video and it just wasn't really much of a reaction, so I'm not even going to really bother to, I didn't even save it. I just like, I'm not saving this video. It's just not really worth it, but cool to check out nonetheless, and fun to know that we do have some more Spider-Man animated movies coming up, as well as the live action stuff. So that's pretty exciting if you're, into Spider-Man. He's one of my favorite characters in the Marvel universe for sure. It definitely got me into like the superheroes and the bright colors and all of that. Other than that, guys, I don't really have a whole lot going on. It's really sad. Like I'm trying to like push through this day. It's new comic book day. It's one of my favorite days of the week, but I am like struggling hard today to get it together and keep it going and just, get myself motivated really. Like my friend of mine, in like a little group chat today said it was like definitely a 2 cup of coffee kind of a day. And I'm feeling like it's a 2 pot kind of a day. Like I just cannot get it together, and been having trouble sleeping lately at night, which leads me to kind of take naps later in the evenings, in the afternoon. And then, yeah, I can't sleep at night. And so then it's been like a vicious cycle this past week, I guess, with my wife out of town. The sleep schedule just kind of like went right out the freaking window. And I've had just like a really hard time getting to sleep and staying asleep past like 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. And then I think we've all been there. Once your brain starts kind of running in circles and you put on a movie or try to distract yourself with something, it's like it doesn't end. Like, it's just, at that point you might as well just go ahead, make a cup of coffee and start your day at 4 o'clock in the morning, because you're not going to get back to sleep. And that's basically how my day went. I got up this morning like around 4 or 5 o'clock, been up ever since, kind of tossing and turning. Finally was like around 8 o'clock, like let me go ahead, watch the new episode of Hawkeye, get the dog out, kind of start my day. But it's just been the little teeny things, like the basket of laundry I'm looking at, just a couple of dishes that I have in the sink. Like those little things have been like almost impossible to get to today and to tackle today. And then like, I want to get some Christmas decorating done. I want to kind of like really jump into this day and get going, but I just can't find the energy. I'm hoping once I hit the comic shop, maybe grab a little lunch, might perk up a little bit, and make a better half out of my Wednesday. So anyway, hope your guys' week has been going really good. Hope you guys have been enjoying yourself. Hope you guys are feeling good today. I'm not going to hang around here too much longer. I'm going to go ahead, grab my mask, grab my wallet, hit the local comic shop, the Comic Books Club here in Tampa. If you've never been and you're local, definitely check it out. If you ever find yourself here in Florida doing some vacationing or whatever in Tampa, definitely check out this comic shop. It's worth going to. It's really cute, really fun, very convenient store. Everything's really well laid out. And Dolly and Dwayne over there are just really, really cool people, and just a great time whenever I'm in there. They also have a really cool YouTube show. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that now. If you haven't seen their show, just type in the Comic Book Club on this little search engine here, and their videos will pop up. And they do a really good job of showing you like all the cool like toys and books and comics and everything that come out. And then you can kind of hang out with me and see what I picked up from their shop. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead, head out, you guys, and I'll be back in just a few minutes, all right? Don't go anywhere, don't get up. I'll be back in like, before you can even say, hey, where'd he go? Hey, where'd he go? I'm sorry, dude. All right, no, I apologize, I know. Okay, sorry, I'm back real quick. You don't want to go anywhere because you want to hang around to the end of the episode and catch not only the books I pick up, but our Forrest pick of the week. I'm sorry, buddy, almost forgot. And then while I'm here, I also like to share with you guys, I keep track of how many books I read throughout the week. Kind of just for like my own personal, there's no real like, you got to break a record. I just kind of like to hold myself accountable for how many comics I read each week. And this week is only 8 books, which is down a huge shot from when I spiked last week at 23. So we're down to 8 books. I've got a really thick stack. It's like, if you watch some other videos, I spent a lot of this past weekend just like watching movies and stuff like that. So I really didn't read a whole lot of books today. And maybe this might be a good time to kind of like knock some of those out. Like I said, I'm kind of in a funk anyway. Maybe I'll hit the grocery store, pick up some dinner for the wifey, come back, fold some clothes, and just read some comics till she gets home. That might be a smart move today. That's what I think I'm gonna do. All right. Yep. Heading out for real this time. Don't go anywhere. Right back. All right, you guys, I am back. Hopefully that didn't take too long. I wasn't gone too terribly long. Yeah, I know I probably would have made it back sooner if I fixed the warp drive like I promised. All right, guys, I had a great time, as always, at the Comic Book Club today. Some really, really fun stuff popping into the store. Just always really cool conversations. With the owners there. I feel like I folded one of the pages of my book. Oh no. And some good selections. This batch here is a good one. Last week I felt like it was a ton of annuals. Like that was just like the big thing. DC just had like a ton of annuals out, and which is cool. Don't get me wrong, but I like a little more variety, So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into what I picked up today, starting with the Swamp Thing number 10. Really like this cover a lot. You see all the little bugs and insects crawling around the branches of his fingertips, and then that forms into the lettering. A lot of fun, beautiful little glossy cover there. This is part 10, I'm guessing, in like a 12-issue series, so it looks like we're going to be wrapping up this little segment here pretty soon. I'm going to kind of miss, hopefully, it might be an ongoing title. I don't know. I thought it was like a mini series. But, I've always loved Swamp Thing. He was one of those characters growing up. The movies were always really cool. And, I just always enjoyed that character. That's toxic Avenger kind of characters that just live out in the woods. And even though they look like monsters, they always wind up saving the day. Speaking of monsters, we've got also from DC Horror, The Soul Plumber. It's been a lot of fun. I always enjoy a good mix of like the horror aspect and in comic books. One of the genres that got me into comic book collecting in general. Like when I first got into comic books, it wasn't like the superhero stuff or anything like that. It was like Tales from the Crypt and the Vault of Horror and stuff like that got me into the comic books. So I always enjoy visiting, end of horror stories, and this one's a lot different. This one's pretty neat. I'm not really sure where this one's going, and I feel like this is one of those stories that once you've accumulated, like there's like 3 out of 6. Once you've gotten to like 4 or 3, like you're going to want to go back and reread the first couple of issues just to get a little bit like, you know, refreshed on what's going on. And to me, that is the mark of a good comic book, where it's one thing if you read a comic over and over again because you just really enjoy it. But if you start to get really intrigued by the story and you're not really sure you understand everything and where it's going and what I might have missed, you know, just not really paying attention, those are the good books. Those are the really fun stories that, you know, really make you want to go back and read them again and again, just to make sure you really understand. And sometimes you don't. Like sometimes you just really don't understand where they're going. This has been a lot of fun. Also, a 6-part series from DC, Batman '89, kind of taking off where the Tim Burton world left off with Batman and continuing the story. We have a Robin character here on the front. He's a African-American persuasion, which I believe is their nod to the Fresh Prince. Will Smith was actually supposed to play, or was rumored to play Robin in the Batman Forever, Batman and Robin series. So maybe that's kind of like their little take on that. So that's kind of fun. And they've also got the Harvey Dent likeness to Billy D. Williams, which is very, very cool, very interesting. Which is odd because like the Bruce Wayne sort of looks like Michael Keaton a little bit, but it looks more like, I don't know if you remember the Michael Keaton Bruce Wayne action figure, but it kind of resembled the actor slightly. And to me, that's what it looks like. Like they drew Michael Keaton from the Batman Bruce Wayne figure. Also from Batman, we have the all new chapter beginning with 118, Batman 118, and a little costume it looks like there. Kind of got these cool little lines going on. Some of this like some more ribbed kind of action going in the suit there. Batman taking some turns lately. He's lost his money. He's been on the run. He's been a suspect. Bruce Wayne, Batman, both. He's had a rough year, man, for Batman. 2021 can't end soon enough. The Fantastic Four life stories, the 2000s, been another fun run for me. I'm not a huge Fantastic Four fan. I used to pick up issues sparsely growing up and throughout my comic book collecting. But this I've just really enjoyed as they examine the different decades that the Fantastic Four have existed throughout, and the interesting, like, just a take on the 70s and the 80s within the book. Like, the Fantastic Four stories are really great in this book as well. Of course, dealing with Galactus, like their biggest threat. But the tone for each book, whether it's set in the 90s or the 60s or whatever, each book has its own vibe and its own feel, and I've just really enjoyed reading that series. And that's one where there's a lot of meat and a lot of stuff happening in each issue, and I've already gone back and reread the first few issues just to make sure I'm up, retaining all that information up top there. Another cool little mini series. I believe this is the final issue. Yep, the 5th and final issue. Amazing Fantasy. It's a re-release of this title. I believe Amazing Fantasy 15 was the first appearance of Spider-Man. And this is one of those books where, like, it's a kind of a weird Conan the Barbarian, Fantasy Island kind of take on these characters. And at first I wasn't really sure like where this was going, and I wasn't really sure if I was going to like it. But yeah, as it's gone on, I've enjoyed it more and more, and it's one of those books that I feel like are stories that just gets better and better with each book that comes out. So been a lot of fun. Be kind of sad to see it go. This guy's favorite, of course, we have Star Wars number 19. Now we're finally getting out of the War of the Bounty Hunters saga and jumping back into just the overall kind of stories. And I'm interested to see exactly how all of this is going to tie, directly into the sixth episode, if you will. No, don't tell me. I don't want to know. But I just love how the War of the Bounty Hunters kind of picked up where Empire Strikes Back leaves off and kind of bridges the space between those two movies. And I'm really looking forward to see if they really butt this series right up against Return of the Jedi. And that's just, as a Star Wars fan, it's just a lot of fun. Anytime you can play a game or read a story and get, or a comic book or something like that, and get another side to a movie or a franchise that you love, it's just kicks, man. It's just a lot of fun. It's really cool from, just from my own personal experience. But just, being a fan of the Matrix movies, and then going and playing the Matrix video game, and watching the Animatrix and seeing how all these little pieces kind of fit together. And it's kind of oh, have you seen the Matrix? And everyone's oh yeah, I loved it. And it's well, have you seen all of it? And I'm oh yeah, I've seen all three. And I'm no. Have you really seen all of it? And that's kind of how I feel about with the Star Wars, where you have so many different animated shows, and Disney Plus has a ton of Mandalorian and things that are popping out all over the place. And it really fleshes out and helps to just really connect this world in a much larger scope. And it's just also fun to think, they always mention these stories in between the movies, there's little battles that they deal with in between the main stories, and they talk about them. They always mention them in the movies, oh, you missed last time, or don't make me save your butt again like I did on so and so. And you never get to see that in the movies, but with the comic books, it gives you a really cool opportunity to read those stories and to see those stories. And the great thing about comics is you pace it. You pace it yourself. So you can take your time with it and really just run through something and take it in as quickly as possible, or you can really take your time with it and pace it out, and give yourself something to celebrate. Okay, you get it. Thank you. Yeah, but give yourself something to. Oh, he's telling me it's time for my pick of the week, dude. It's time for my pick of the week. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Like I said, reading comics is just it's a one of those mediums where you can, like I said, video games, they kind of carry you through. They're kind of paced a certain way. Movies, TV, all of that's all paced a certain way. And like I said, comics and novels and things like that, you're more in control. I mean, I guess you could do the same thing with an episode of a TV show and pause it in the middle, or just watch the first 5 minutes over and over again until you're ready to move on. But like I said, comic books work in a very, very interesting fashion. And that's one of the reasons why I love Comic Book Day. I love grabbing new comic books, not just for the stories with Batman and Spider-Man and all of that, but like I said, there's some cool stuff with Star Wars and other properties out there that, if you're waiting on that next show or that next movie to come out, you've got a ton of back issues even to go back through and read, and kind of, like I said, fill in all those little points between the stories. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and jump into R4's pick of the week. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Drum roll, please. And here we go. Da, 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 da. That's right, TMNT, Best of the Shredder. I've been really enjoying these books, and I think R4, yeah, he's a huge fan of the Chrome Dome himself. Get it? Two little Chrome Domes? Yeah, okay, whatever. I know that's why you went with the book anyway, dude. You can't fool me. But yeah, these Best of TMNT books have been a blast. I have really enjoyed these simply because of, well, right here, really cool classic art and stories from back issues to classic issues. Here we go, perfect. This is when I grew up with the Turtles. They all had the red headbands, and the only way you could tell who they were the weapons that they carried, not by the M on the belt or the L or the blue bandana. And let's see, in this book we've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. Wow, holy wow. So you have TMNT, dude, I see why you went with this book now. You're a smart bookie. So you have TMNT issue #1, story by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. And then, I don't think I've ever read the first issue. I mean, I think I jumped in like a little late, you know, I wasn't really into superheroes and stuff as far as comics go. We also have in here TMNT, the Shredder micro series, and then the TMNT Shredder in Hell #1, which sounds pretty cool. And, oh, it looks really fun. The story and the art look like it's going to be pretty intense, pretty dark looking stuff there. But I've just really enjoyed these books. They've done Casey Jones, they've done April O'Neil, and now the Shredder. I wonder if they're going to do like who else? Sometimes they'll advertise the next character that is set to get a book, and I think Splinter, or like Best of the Bebop and Rocksteady would be an exciting one to do, or even Jenica. Oh, it is Jenica! Look at that! Wow! All right, third time's a charm, huh? That's so cool. All right, guys. Well, there we go. That's everything I picked up today. Got some really cool stuff here. I'm excited to get into some reading here shortly. And guys, again, you know, I've stressed this plenty of times in the past. You know, give it a shot, man. Give comic books a shot. Try it out. You never know. You might like it. You know, even if it's like flipping through the pictures. Sometimes like that can be, you know, all that you really need to get out of, you know, of a comic book or whatever. But I think if you got down, you sat down, you started really reading these stories, you'd be really blown away at some of the stuff that these guys come up with and they put into these pages in between these like glossy covers. It's just really, really amazing. And, you know, maybe if, you know, you got kids out there, and, you know, I know for myself growing up, I was one of those boys. My sister loved to read books. She loved to read and write all the time. I was a typical boy, just wanted to play with my G.I. Joes and my video games, and I didn't really care about reading until I got into comic books. And then that's when I really started to kind of like fall in love with the written word, and now I do love Stephen King and just, you know, a huge fan of just literature in general. But, you know, it's got to start somewhere. And like I said, guys, I can't stress it enough, like how important reading is. And like you said, you never know, like, until you give it a shot. So if, you know, you're worried too, like people are like, oh man, comic books would be kind of expensive. I don't know if I want to spend any money. Look no further. You're on the right channel, because if you just hang out here with me and search through comment sections and look for these free little codes I put out everywhere, you can get your own free like digital library going. It's real simple. There's no limit per customer, if you will. Just go through the comment sections, look for the marvel.com/redeem code, hit over there, follow the instructions, and like I said, you can, for nothing, start building your very own digital library. And these are books that I've read myself. I don't really do a whole lot of digital reading. I do have a few things that I read on like tablets and stuff like that, but I like the feel, the smell that you can only get like the actual physical comic book. But let me go ahead and show you an example real quick what I'm talking about. Marvel does this thing where, which I think is really nice. I think this is a really cool feature. I mean, you're spending like sometimes like $4 or $5 for a comic book. You know, they can throw in some neat little, ooh, this is a perfect page to demonstrate this, guys, huh? Boom. So anyway, up here, not down here, not up there. Look down here, guys, down here. All right, so here you follow these instructions, go to marvel.com redeem. I peel this little tab off, there's a code underneath. I put that code in, you enter the code, and then you'll get that book. Like whatever code I put in, you'll get that book. So You can pick up this book. You can read this one. You can read this one. Like every Marvel book I get has a code. Every code I leave in a video. Every video has a code. So, well, up to a certain point. Don't go all the way back to my history because not all of them. Once I started doing this, they all have a code. They all have like a little redeeming code you can enter and get your own free comic book. So don't use that whole like, oh man, I buy a lot of games and you know, like I got other hobbies. I can't afford it, man. Well, I'm telling you, dude, you can read comics for free. The same books I read, and then you can comment and tell me what you thought about it. It'd be a lot of fun. It'd be like our own little comic book club, if you will, guys. So anyway, thank you so much for hanging out. R4 says until next time. And remember, guys, this isn't goodbye. It's simply to be continued. So until next time, and don't spend that quarter anywhere else. Thank you so much for hanging out. And while you're here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you are a subscriber, share the video. Let's get some more people in here. Don't forget to comment down below, hit a like, dislike, let me know how I'm doing, and let me know who your favorite superhero is. I'm really excited to hear from you guys and get some feedback from you. So until next time, guys, see you soon. Take care of each other. Don't forget to read. Don't forget to be nice, and don't forget to come back. See you later.